Hi again, and now we'll analyze those positions on which the knight is better than the bishop. And let me tell you that we already analyzed one of those positions when I spoke about one of the most important ideas in endings, which is attacking pawns. Here in this position, we can already see that white's knight has much more potential. It's already attacking a pawn on d5, and white's bishop cannot attack white's pawns because they are on a different color. And here is quite an important note that in general, whenever the pawns are on the same color that the bishop, here black's pawns are on the light squares and black has a light square bishop, if white manages to put the pawns on the opposite color, then it's really hard for the bishop to attack the pawns. Here if white took on h4 and after f4, then it would not be possible for the bishop to attack the pawns. So here would be a matter of whether white can win the game or not, because white is definitely the one with the ability to attack pawns and not black. In any case, in that ending, white tried even something more spectacular, playing the move knight to g2, sacrificing a pawn temporarily in order to bring the king to attack the pawns. And in any case, we can see that in this ending, white again is the one attacking pawns, the one having the better minor piece. Having that in mind, let's take a look at another position. Here we also see that black has a dark square bishop, and black's pawns are on dark squares, and white's pawns are on light squares. So black's bishop cannot attack any of white's pawns. We also see here that white's king is more active. So here again it is a matter of whether white can progress, whether white can win or not. Here white started with the move knight to h2, and after king to f7, knight f3, king to e7. Here we're basically repeating moves, and only then white played the move e5. And after taking on e5, knight takes on e5. Here black waited with the move bishop to g7. But if white takes on e5, then we know that here after the move king takes e5, white will get the opposition and penetrate. For instance, after the move king to d7, king to d5, king to c7, king to e6, white would just end up picking up the pawn. We started this idea when we saw pawn endings, and this would be a winning pawn ending for white. That's why black tried to wait with the move bishop to g7. And here white's main idea will be to try to enter the position in order to attack this pawn, and white continue with the strong knight to g6, and after king to d6, knight to f4. Here black is not in time to play the move king to c7 to defend this pawn, because here white would have knight to e6. That's why black played the move bishop to h6, and after knight to d5, white already got a pawn and actually won the game quite easily. Here again black doesn't have any plan, just moving around because black cannot attack any pawn. And here white continued with the move king to e6, slowly improving his position, knight to d5, king to d6. And here after the move king to d5, black resigned. White is even not rushing to take this pawn on c5, but sooner or later would take this pawn and get two connected pass pawns. Now on that position, I think it was pretty clear that the knight was better than the bishop. Let's take a look at this position, which is even more impressive because at first sight it looks like very even. We only have this knight, which is looking at this pawn, but this pawn can be easily defended. But here we see this idea of slowly improving the position, because here white also doesn't have any ideas to attack pawns. That's why here black slowly improved his position, play the move h5 in order to bring the king, to activate the king. And now started advancing his pawns, and we see that white is just waiting. Although here black's knight is better than the bishop, we see that the advantage is not as clear as in the previous example. Again we see some maneuvering. Now here black played the move f5, and after king to e2, f4. It is still not very clear how much better black is, but we see that black slowly improves his position, looking for chances, and here white played the move h3, which looking at what happened in the game was probably not the best reaction. Here the move g3 was quite interesting in order to exchange pawns. When someone defends, it's good to exchange more material, trying to exchange more pawns to simplify the position. That sometimes is a good strategy to defend. But it was really hard to blame white because the move h3 looks natural, but after the move knight to f5, king to d3, g4, this is a very interesting move. First of all, black wants to play g3 and knight to h4, attacking this pawn on g2. That's why white took on g4, and here after the move knight to h6, black will get the pawn back, and amazingly this pawn will be quite a target. That's why this example is pretty amazing, because here black really exploited a minimal advantage. And black got the pawn back, improved his king. Now we got a little maneuvering again. Now here the move knight to g3 is very strong. The knight cannot be taken, because here after king to f1 we play f3. And then we get a winning pawn ending, because we just take this pawn. And after king to d3, knight to f5, the knight will come to h4 and attack this pawn. Again, if white takes the knight, then we get a winning pawn ending. We see how important it was to study pawn endings to understand these positions. And white played the move a5, but after taking the pawn on g2, black will get this pass pawn on the f-file and win quite easily. The game continued only a few moves, but in any case, black is already winning. And here after the move bishop to g3, one final detail I think is quite interesting. Instead of playing the move f2, which will still be winning because black would be a piece up, but here black played the move knight to e3, which is even simpler because now knight to f5 is coming, and this pawn will promote, and white cannot even sacrifice a piece for that pawn. So similar to the previous case on which the bishop was better than the knight, here the knight was better than the bishop because it was able to attack pawns more easily, and combined with king activity, these small advantages can be decisive.